everyone. Welcome to Strong Female Lead. I'm one of your hosts, Trisha.
And I'm Tessa.
And we're here at it again, guys. We are here to talk about women in movies and television, the representation of women in media, and whether or not Hollywood got it right. And we have a guest on the pod, resident doctor of the pod, Dr. Laura Retson, who is now a hematology oncology fellow, which is extremely important based on our movie pick for today.
Yes,
Dr.
We came with
Retson,
professionals.
we came armed with professionals. And Dr. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we're not just some run-of-the-mill pod. We came with professionals and facts to review this movie for you.
100%. And I know we talked about this before, women being referred to as doctor, their first name. I'm tempted to call you Dr. Laura because it's in the podcasting format, but I don't know if you want me to do that.
That's fine. You can just call me Laura. We can be on a first name basis. There's a big difference between when you're talking to a patient and when you're talking to, friends or colleagues or other people who you're not in direct patient care for. So, you could call me whatever you want, but
Perfect.
This movie, huh?
This movie. So, because I want to make it a little more familiar for the pod, but I also want to give you your title because it is well deserved. So, Dr. Laura was previously on our podcast for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. She came in for that episode, and then also A Christmas Prince. So in staying with the theme of shitty holiday movies with Prince in the title, Laura decided I gave her, hey, you're coming on the pod. You pick the movie. And so the movie, I'm giving that all to you, Laura. The movie is a Christmas with a Prince, available on Netflix in hour 24 minutes. Time I cannot get back, time that I'm unclear about what happened, and this movie. So this movie is basically about a pediatric oncologist.
Well, to be honest with you, they only introduce her as the head of pediatrics. So just right from the jump, she's far too young to be the head of pediatrics. That makes no sense. And then inexplicably, she is taking care of children with cancer, which is not the role of the head of pediatrics, but rather a subspecialist, such as myself, who subspecializes in oncology. So just right from the start, let me just say that.
But did you get the part where she went to boarding school and is super smart? Because maybe that would just clear up all of those things when they said she went to boarding school with a prince. Did we say that? Because that kind of clears it up for me of why she's so advanced in her career.
Well, that is a good point.
A prince of where? And so we'll get into all of that. But okay, so head of pediatrics, vague for a reason. It's unclear if this is an oncology ward or if this is just like a pediatric department. But Dr. Tasha Mason or Miller, we're unclear which because there is contradictory information. So Dr. Tasha is focused on keeping the kids in her ward as healthy as possible. But when the handsome Prince Alexander Cavalieri breaks his leg on a nearby ski slope, she is forced to allow him to secretly get well on her floor. And she's furious that a spoiled royal is interrupting the precious healing time her kids need. Soon, however, Tasha, so no longer, pediatric specialist. Okay, we're not even putting a doctor in front of her name in this synopsis. So soon, however, Tasha learns that some tough love and a lot of Christmas spirit could turn this royal pain into a knight in shining armor. Done. We can end the pod now.
Even the synopsis doesn't make sense. Princes can't become knights? What? That doesn't make sense.
Well,
so the only flaw I see is that.
From the get-go, we see that this is based on a Harlequin novel. I'm not sure if you caught that from the start. St. Piran's Prince on the Children's Ward by Sarah Morgan. So, Sarah Morgan has written many, like 100 Harlequin novels, and I'm not sure if you did any background check on her, but she shockingly.
No, you came in. I love guests. They come in with research.
Nurse. She is a nurse.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
So the medical depictions, and I can't blame Sarah Morgan for how they depicted it in the movie. They took creative license with her novel. However, this is stretching it.
Like, you think she knows what doctors work in what wards.
You would think that. You would also think that in a children's ward in which they are taking care of children with cancer, that there would be a single IV pole anywhere to be found.
These kids don't need fluids. They don't need fluids.
No blood, no fluids.
Because you can't have anything gross when there's a prince around and he is coming to sweep her off her feet. They have to look abundantly healthy. These children have complexions that do not resemble anyone that might be sick to me.
Okay, everyone's complexion in this film was questionable. What color was the prince? Is that part of just a characteristic of being royal? He was a very interesting shade of orange, or maybe it was my TV. Was he orange for you as well?
He was a little yes. I think his color was a little off. He also looked like he may have had a facelift in his day.
Oh yes, he looked much older than she did, and then also he resembled Gaston without a ponytail. I was like, this man is a cartoon character.
Yes,
he did resemble Gaston.
He was not handsome to me. He looked like he was probably about 50, which not an issue, just doesn't make sense. So
he's supposed to be 33.
Yeah, he's not. Let's look up this actor. That's actually what we need
33 based on my deductive reasoning, because she said that she asked him out when she was 16 and he was 18 when they met in boarding school. And then he says something about, what have you been up to the last 15 years? So she'd be 31, he'd be 33. And I call shenanigans on that.
Oh, shit. Okay, so, I mean, this is all it says. He is in his 40s in 2020. That's very vague. Did he pay for that? Only that information to be out
there? Someone's got a good agent.
Or his facelift is in his 40s.
He is. So 40s could mean anything, and that makes me think that it's later 40s, which maybe we're relatively close to the 50 range, because what's happening? What is happening with this individual and this movie? So basically, it starts out with this half-brother and her just, jabbing each other, being siblings, which he sort of seemed into her.
Did anyone think they had a little bit of sexual chemistry before you found out they were brother and sister?
Yes, and yes, I felt like he was into her the entire time.
And why are they half siblings? Like, where did that didn't apropos of nothing? They're half brother.
I don't know why. I mean, I was like, was that supposed to allow for a little bit of the sexual chemistry? Like, it could not be contained. And so they were like, let's call them half siblings, which is still related. It's not a step. And even then, we have discussed uncomfortable, not illegal, right? With steps. But half, uncomfortable. And just uncomfortable. But it starts out with him. He's just a total goon, right? And he has the subplot, the B plot of like his own love-ish story, which is just totally pointless.
Bella.
But that's the plot. I mean, the prince comes in, he has a broken leg. Let's discuss the amount of care for this broken leg.
So he came in with a cast. He came to the hospital with the cast.
He did. He came in with a cast.
Why is he there?
Nurse Jeff has a throwaway line about how he may be concussed, but even in the most, conservative of observation times for a concussion, there's no reason for him to be hospitalized, let alone moving children out of the ward because he needs to be private. It's ludicrous.
Concussed. So I caught that line also, and it brought me to the several concussions that I've had, most of which did not even involve my going to the hospital. And then the one in which I went, I was out of there in 3 hours, and that was simply because of the wait. So and if he's going to get concussed in a skiing accident, I just expected a little more scrapes. Like some more scraping, but he was ready to go.
You don't know about that really soft, really soft, like upper Minnesota snow? Like you've never even heard of that phenomenon where the snow in Minnesota is just way softer than anyone else's snow? That's like totally plausible that'd be like very fresh, very Minnesota snow. So solved that one also. So I've seen
Thank you for solving these plot holes for us.
I'm like a ghost hunter, but for Netflix Christmas films. I just want to debunk. So that
oh God, I can't, like, the first he comes in like hot, like, and I mean hot, like coming in hot. Not that he's hot, because he really isn't hot to me. That is not a look for me. He's too top heavy and looks like a cartoon character. But he comes in like in a shirtless, like just fucking, he just comes in hot, no shirt. Because why would he wear a shirt while he's just using his crutches? He has to be shirtless upon the first scene. And she doesn't like him, but it's clear that she does like him. And that's it, right? And then he has this fiance, fiance, which I'm like, wow. So you've told her she wouldn't marry you, and she still refers to her as your fiance, which I'm sort of like, love.
I love this character.
That did make me laugh.
She was my favorite character, and I was like, if we were to spin this off, I'd like the whole next movie to be about her and her going around and saying in multiple like spaces that she's engaged to this person, knowing full well that they're not.
The job you want, not the job you have,
Exactly. Like I liked that about her. I was like, that takes something. She's given no shits. She's getting in the way of this woman and saying he's her fiance. So really, I guess I skipped over the whole thing, is that the doctor thinks that he is spoiled, which does seem true, and then he just acts really good with kids. And so then she realizes in 2 weeks that she's in love with him, and then they're in love, and they get past that whole royal, non-royal thing. So that's it.
Yeah, and I understand the concept of, he's a prince and we want to keep the media under wraps as to where he is, so he needs to hide out in the pediatrics ward. But she's not an orthopedic surgeon, nor is she a neurologist, so she should not be taking care of him. She also is not licensed to take care of adults, so in no way is he getting the medical care that he allegedly needs. Furthermore, she takes him with her on rounds to see other kids, which, HIPAA, anyone? You can't just go on rounds.
Whoa. You didn't see that clause in HIPAA where it was like the prince clause? It's like, if a prince is ever present, none of these rules, therefore.
Excuse me.
So
I think you need to pay more attention. Pay more attention.
He at first, for maybe 3 seconds, is hesitant to approach sick children, who the healthiest looking sick children I've ever seen. Then he quickly gets over that, comes on real strong to that young adolescent boy, telling him he's his best friend. Everyone is moving very quickly in this movie.
Oh yeah.
The pacing in this movie is the only questionable thing, because how did we become best friends instantly with that little boy, but not mention the fiance for a solid 50 minutes? What's happening here?
So I need to say only questionable thing?
Yeah. Everything else like totally makes sense. Like when you get a prince involved, like some rules just don't apply. If we've known anything from Harry and Meghan, some rules just don't apply. I was like, what is her name? Maggie. We're besties. Me and Maggie. So yeah, you meet a prince, you fall in love with Prince. So
okay, so time for short tangent regarding Harry and Meghan. I know someone from where I grew up. We knew each other through friends of friends. And that was in Cleveland. When I moved to Chicago, I met someone who knew this individual where he currently lives. And I won't out him there. Apparently, this individual told people that he was invited to the royal wedding and didn't go because he didn't agree with the fact that Harry was marrying Meghan. Just throw that out there. I love a good like multi-layered lie. Just the whole like I was invited, I didn't go, like inserting an opinion about the interracial relationship. There's just like so much to it. And I just wanted to throw that out there. So maybe I can reach out to this individual and see what the protocol
just to confirm once
Prince.
You meet a prince, you love Prince and you marry Prince. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If you wanted to do that, I'd be okay. If we could get him on as some sort of royal liaison or expert, I would appreciate it. I have a lot of questions about Harry and Meghan and the Crown, not related to this movie, but this show, The Crown. I just want to know how they all feel about it, because I just started watching and I think it is mesmerizing. Just a plug for The Crown.
Good show.
I gotta watch it. Is the season more about Harry and Meghan and William, or
no, this is the start of Diana.
Oh, even better. Okay, I can relate. Just I have more association with that period, so maybe I'll start from that season and then decide if I want to watch from the beginning. Yeah. Maybe he could be a royal liaison because he.
I'm not doubting his connection. Like that sounds super legit. That someone from Cleveland, Ohio, is also tied to the royal family in London. Like that sounds legit. No one is questioning that. That's not debunkable. What we're saying, what we're asking for, is for him to use that connection for our advantage.
Yeah.
Have you guys thought about doing like SFL bingo cards? And one of the spots can be Trisha tells a vague story without identifying the person from Cleveland.
Oh my God. Perfect. Yes, I am trying to be a little bit careful. I don't think that he'll happen upon this, but like I have an extremely negative point of view.
Well, there's not too many people with royal connections in Ohio, so like even by not naming him, you've named him. So, I mean, how many people fit that bill?
We could all story about your grandma and about Tessa's twin, and this could be a real game. This could happen.
I love that, and I actually have to be a little more careful now because my mother has started listening on a regular basis, and so now I need to, while I can talk about certain things, I hold back on others because she definitely heard the episode about my outing my grandmother's facelift, and that's fine because my grandmother's dead and I don't think she would care, but now it's all out there. So yep, I do.
Should we try to have
your stuff?
Come on, I love talking about these people. I will bring, you know what? I think a bingo card is a great idea. And also I'm going to consider reaching out to this person because if anything, that would be an extremely entertaining episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like it.
So guys, I don't, I don't understand. I don't understand the point of this movie. And then also, Laura, can you tell me, I know you said she had these mood swings, and I didn't see a mood swing.
Her emotions were very extreme. She, on one hand, was, you know, screaming at the head of medicine about her budget and how she needs this money and how she won't move these patients across the hall, which wouldn't really be her decision, and like just storming out of work. And then, you know, a mere moments later, she's telling someone she loves them. So the emotions are extreme. She, you know, encounters the fake fiance, and just one sentence, she storms off. She doesn't ask for any follow-up, or, you know, professionally excuses herself to talk about it later. She just does not act like an adult.
She also doesn't even ask the girl's name. Like, anyone can say, I'm your fiance. I'm like, what? Who the fuck are you? Ask the name. Back check.
Yeah, and when
her.
she's at the ball, she, you know, at first she's very happy, and then she overhears those girls talking about her, and then the fiance says, "Oh, I'll say it straight to your face. You don't belong here." And then, you know, then she's ready once again to leave and never speak to him again, and it's just, it's extreme, you know. It's just one end to the other. It's okay. Bad fan fiction. I wrote, this is bad fan fiction. She flies off the handle at everything.
That is so funny, because I didn't even consider her flying off the handle, but I do think she made, like, she was very reactionary and then like acted, right? So like, she's upset, she's leaving, she's doing this, but I didn't think she yelled. I was looking for some like Grey's Anatomy meltdown, and I was not seeing them, because they go wild. Their emotions run amok in that show, I think. And I was like, maybe I can go from one side to the other. That might be part of it. But like, I sort of understood it. That wasn't even what I didn't like about her. I was kind of like, just, why are you with this dude? And why are you don't have a clear job?
Yeah, her job didn't make any sense. There's one line where Nurse Jeff, which also I'd like to point out, they are very rude to Jeff. And many times they call him stupid or refer to him as, oh, you're just a nurse. Like, that kind of stuff would not fly nowadays. That there just would be absolutely no way that the chief of medicine would say to a nurse, if I have questions about the scrubs, I'll ask you. Like, it was so offensive. And even the king says something like, oh, you're related to Jeff, you must have gotten all the brains in the family. Like, the man is saving lives. Like,
I know.
Cut him a
I think
break.
they were overcompensating. I think they were overcompensating
for a solid 4 days. Like, you gotta give this kid a break. I do think that they were trying to really harp on, you know, quote unquote, gender norms, and how, you know, the woman is a doctor and the man is a nurse, and let's point that out a lot of times, which it's just, it feels anti-feminist to point it out to me. So I think we're past that as society.
Totally agree. I think they were overcompensating by making, with trying to make that point, while also reinforcing, like in old-fashioned love story, female story, right? And falling in love with a prince. They're like, well, we'll have her fall for a prince and she'll fall in love in 2 weeks and yada yada, but we're gonna make sure you all know she's a doctor, and the male is a nurse, but she is a doctor, and nurses are talked to like this. And it was so ridiculous. I'm like, you're now making a joke of it. Like, it's too much, and reinforcing a story that we've heard 1,000 times. I'm like, who looked at this? How is this not seen? 2018? What the fuck?
And they have Dr. Gonzalez as the chief of medicine there, and she is just an extreme bitch, like, just insane. And then suddenly she just completely changes and totally on board. And let's talk about that. And
what happened there is that she talked to the king, and so that same reaction where you meet a prince, and then you love a prince. If you speak to a king, you become a nice person. So debunked. She just had a transformation off screen, and so that's why we were a little confused about it. But she spoke to the king, and he's like, "Don't be so mean," and she's like, "Okay," and then solved. So,
yeah, and then
why
let's
did she
talk
have
about
to
your
be
teddy
like
bear
that?
budget.
That teddy bear budget was just a rude comment. I was like, that was unnecessary.
Yeah,
and why?
As
Why
a
she had to
pediatrician,
be?
offense taken.
I'm gonna ask Zach about his if he talks about like being stressed at work. I'm gonna ask him about his teddy bear issues, and I'm gonna see, just same thing as like, oh, you're feeling a certain way, like the menses. I'm gonna like about women. I'm gonna ask him about his. Tell me about your teddy bear problems. What's happening there? And they had to make the chief, she's an African American woman, but she has to come in like guns a-blazing first scene, which, it just doesn't, all this attempt to make it more diverse and inclusive was playing into ridiculous stereotypes, and why they, like, there was just nothing, it was just terrible. It was like people who don't understand diversity and inclusion at all trying to make sure that they make some tiny attempt at it.
Definitely. Why is the king on every screen in the hospital?
Oh, that's also just a function of being a king. Once you become king, you also have CCTV access to all screens and computers. So I don't know if they left that out too, but just so we can debunk that also. That's just a perk.
Okay. Yeah. I like this. So can you tell me what, and maybe it's just because the movie's supposed to take place over like 2 to 3 weeks or whatever, the king sees that the prince has changed and grown up in 2 weeks time.
Yeah.
While in a hospital, a pediatric department of a hospital. Like, what?
See, sometimes that whole when you speak to a king thing, when you speak to a king, you become a better person. Sometimes it doesn't work from king to prince. And so we needed that like mediary of the girl. And then when next time he spoke king to prince, it took. And so that was probably what happened. So he became a better person again because sometimes it takes a little bit. His CCTV
2 weeks is not
down.
A lot of time. 2 weeks is not time to grow up.
Love transforms. And I don't know if you've ever met a prince, but the last I met a prince, and by prince I mean saw Michael B. Jordan, I became a better person.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then he's been crowned sexiest man alive. And so if he spoke to me now, I would become an even better person and or a princess. So, I'm just putting that out there into the universe because I think it's a healthy thing to do, to just constantly mention how much I love Michael B. Jordan. And he's starting an OnlyFans page, and it will be the only OnlyFans page I ever subscribed to. Thank you.
So how long did it take you or did you automatically, like within moments, become a princess upon talking to Michael B. Jordan or seeing him? How long?
It was pretty instantaneous. You've been a
princess for a while.
I have. I don't like to bring it up.
Right.
It's off-putting. And when we can go incognito.
Where did you see him?
Oh, just on film. And so it was like that strong. That's how strong our connection was. Through Creed. And because he was wearing so little clothing, it probably took effect faster than it would have otherwise. So,
but Tessa, I'm just so curious, and thank you for telling me.
Yeah,
because like now that I know that you're a princess, there's certain things that I need to change on just on my end, and so so that I can interact with you properly. And so thank you.
You're talking about my title. What's yours then?
And what country?
The United States.
Unclear. Just my country.
Yeah. I don't want to go too deeply into it because I'd like to be treated as a normal person for as long as possible until I ascend to Queendom to be Her Royal Highness, Her Majesty, Empress,
HRH.
HRH. So you're familiar, and that's good. And
what's HRH?
Her Royal Highness. Oh, wow. See,
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, were you watching the movie?
Yeah, I did like the almost throwaway line at the end where she's like, I'm not quitting my job. And I'm like, oh, yeah. It is interesting, though. He's going to take over as king, and she's going to remain in wherever they're supposed to be in the United States. So that is a little interesting how that's going to pan out. I see no problems after
because it's not going to pan out, but they needed to put that in because this is a female empowered movie. So they needed to have her say that just to make sure, you know, she's following the prince, she's going to be with him. But I'm not going to quit my job. Honey, yes, you are. You are. Because that is not actually going to happen. You can't be with him and remain doing what you're doing where you're doing it. So
well, she could be a doctor in his country. He can't be king in hers. So, you know.
Sure. But are we sure she's a doctor? Because again, head of pediatrics. Well, they do call her doctor, but it says pediatric specialist.
There is a line. Well, first of all, she's wearing a short white coat the whole movie, which really bothers me because that means medical student, not doctor. And
I love this.
I was so curious about that, and I was like, why did they give her like a cropped coat? I was like, is that a fashion thing, or is that like?
No, that is not accurate. And then also, there's a line at the ball that I wrote down because it was highly offensive, which is, "Oh, please, she's an American doctor. She might as well be a janitor."
Oh yes,
Rude.
Yeah,
it was like
I heard that. Yeah.
What does that mean? Number one. Number two, what's wrong with being a janitor? You're saying it with disdain in your voice. But like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah. I know. I heard that too, and it was offensive on a ton of levels. And I know that it was supposed to be offensive, right? But there wasn't enough information for it to land. Like, it was shitty all around, but if you're going to be shitty like the fiance's being shitty. Like, either just make those general statements like you don't belong here, or like have something behind what you're saying. And that was it was so bad, and it meant nothing then. It was like, okay, so you don't know what doctors do. And then also, like, why bring in a janitor now? Like, what the fuck was all of that? Yeah, I hated it.
It seems like if Netflix was taking notes, in this moment, they could have just gotten in any comedian or joke writer, and they would have told you that who you're making fun of in that joke was doctors. In this whole movie, you've taken such, in air quotes, great care to display the profession of doctoring in such a positive light, and then to shit on it for inexplicably, and then also janitors inexplicably makes no sense, and tonally
made no sense.
Was off. Was off.
And it's also not, it doesn't make sense in what they value anyways, because like they should be, and I'm not saying that she has anything wrong with the way she looks, certainly not, but that is, they should be making fun of that. Like, they should be saying like, oh, did you see what she was wearing, or, you know, like, which, you know, like that, it just, it fell flat in a really odd way. And
because she's not a pediatric, she's in air quotes again, a pediatric oncologist in quotes.
Also,
so she has a very noble position. She's doing such a good thing for her community and for those kids. To shit on it in the end seems imbalanced. It seems out of nowhere. If anything, I would have taken the shot at like her personality and being like, you'll never fit in because you're so incredibly dry and lack emotions. Well, no, you have all of the emotions. You just display them in a weird way at weird times. In a rapid succession also.
And also, to be fair, I see no evidence of her actually being a doctor. It's just what they tell me. I haven't seen her order anything or give medication to anyone, or, you know, really explain diagnoses, or really just nothing. She's just traveling from room to room saying hi.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Is this another situation like Ma? Tessa, is she interning? And we don't know that whether or not she's actually employed there other than being reamed out by the chief.
Second that, because this whole time I thought there was another movie happening while this movie was happening, and it's the story of her lost phone and the recording that the prince somehow has of her. What?
Right? Yes.
Crazy. He's a murderer.
Let's talk about that for the next 3 hours.
When did they talk about it?
Why is she like, I can help you. You're late for work as a doctor and you need your phone all the time as a doctor. I'm going to finish my coffee and then I'll start looking for your phone. Bitch, you are a guest here. You will help immediately. Also, where are you from that you need to stay there? It's very confusing.
No, it was a sleepover. It was a sleepover to talk about him.
Okay.
That's why they both fell asleep.
But they were at the restaurant,
at like a coffee shop. It looked like AM times. They're getting like some sort of scone with each other.
This is a sleepover.
But she was completely unaware that she knew this prince. That was new information that came up when she was caught gazing at the news, which was doing a great job of telling the story of the prince. And that's the only time that she knew that was someone she knew. So then she said, oh, we're going home. It just, where did the recording come from? There's a weird scene where the waitress puts down 2 like pastries and they like don't show her face. And I thought that was going to be some like clue, like, oh, this is a secret reporter who found out that he's in this pediatric ward and the news is going to come. Nope. Nothing happened with that.
So
I didn't understand the pastries too. Maybe the mic was in the pastry and they only show her eating a corner of it. So maybe it was. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
So this is what I think was supposed to have happened. And it just occurred to me now. I think they went back, they had the sleepover. She couldn't find the phone because they talked about all the stuff but then fell asleep. Right? So they were like in bed, like sleepover time, fell asleep. One of them starts snoring because he says that happens in the recording. I think the friend, I'm unsure why she recorded it on the doctor's phone, but recorded the conversation and leaked it. That's what I think.
But then why didn't the paparazzi and everyone swarm the hospital? They just respected his privacy?
Impossible. I thought it was that she left him a voicemail on accident.
That's what I thought. It was a voice note or something. But then
maybe, but she sent it to someone, but you're right. She sent it to someone who knew the prince.
Oh, you know what it probably was? It was probably that King's CCTV, and when she's interacted with the king once, he just left that channel open. Yeah. And that's probably how they did it. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
That is possible.
That makes the most sense.
That is shitty. That is totally shitty. The friend's like not helping her, and I think she did that on purpose. She's like, I'll find your phone, because she knew where the phone was, and she didn't want the doctor to have it.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But then why is the doctor not like, I'm sorry, why aren't you choking out your friend? That's the time for emotion. Why haven't you like figured out what the fuck happened there and why she released it or sent it? Like, that's the time to get upset, really upset.
I also love that like International Prince News now makes it to the news in the United States, or what I'm guessing is either the Upper Peninsula of Michigan or Northern Minnesota, and that royal news is the news in this town. And that really made me happy because it should be on more news channels. I want to know what the princes and princesses in Europe are doing all the time. Someone make it happen.
Can I tell you, I just looked up the cast, and there's a picture of the one little girl. Her name's Kiana Edwards. She's one of the patients.
Amber?
She is, I think so. Was that her character name?
They only talk about Ben and Amber the whole time.
Yeah.
She's the cutest little girl I've ever seen. I just looked up her like headshot, and I'm like, oh my God. You should have been the star of this.
She was one of my favorite characters too. There was a great moment where Dr. Tasha Miller says something like, oh, all I asked Santa for was to spend Christmas with you, and she says, "You asked Santa to make me sick for Christmas? That's dark."
I know. I was like, good job.
Yeah.
Like,
Classic.
You're owning this. And I'm sorry, let's discuss the favorite singer, Genevieve, that comes in. And
I knew we were in for a treat when it said Genevieve Fisher as herself. And I had to look up who Genevieve Fisher was. And clearly it was dubbed in. Like, clearly they just said,
oh my God,
let's see who we can get. Oh, my favorite singer is Genevieve Fisher.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite singer is Genevieve Fisher. The dubbing is so bad, it's not even an attempt to do it well. And that's your favorite song? Like, that's a bummer. I mean, I know it's Christmas, but that.
Yeah, it's Jingle Bells. So, kid. You heard
Was
music
it Jingle
before?
Bells? Yeah,
that's what she's saying to him. I assume that she was, well, maybe she was just singing a holiday song, but I was like, if you came to a hospital to meet a kid, wouldn't you sing his favorite song and not just a Christmas song?
Yes.
Wouldn't you do something that was special for him and not just for
So I
Christmas?
thought that was his favorite song.
I think it is.
Oh my God. I'm just
the song
like,
he plays every day at 11.
It's like, God, this is terrible. And your mom has to listen to that godforsaken
Oh my God.
song every day at 11.
That mom actress came in as if this was the role of her life.
Yes.
She came
role
in
of a lifetime.
ready. She had been crying in that trailer all day, getting ready for this moment. And I'm going to say it, she nailed it. I thought she was a concerned mother. The way she looked at the camera as if it was the prince and then didn't say anything. I was like, oh, she's communicating with her eyes. That was a smize, or whatever the sad version of a smize is. That was it.
It was a smound. It was a smound. Yeah. She was just she was amazing. I totally agree. I'm like, she was like, this is it. This is fucking it. She's looking in the mirror all morning. She's like, you fucking have this. And she goes in and she fucking nailed it.
She's doing nothing but listening to Sarah McLachlan just to get those tears going. I can see it.
I was like, she acted
commercials on repeat.
Yes. Put more into that scene than any of them did in the entire movie. I was like, girl.
I think that actress and Nurse Jeff, were the only two who came to like act. Who just seemed like they had maybe done training and didn't just decide to be actors that day. Everyone else, I was like, oh, this is just something like, we were Instagram famous and then we got cast in this or something.
Right.
Jeff seemed like
I wanted Jeff to get the watch that he asked for. He
said,
did someone get me a watch? And then he says like, no, I guess not. Or like something really sad. And then I'm like, Bella, get him a watch.
Right?
I thought that was going to pan out. It didn't.
Bella was a frustrating character for me. I wish she didn't exist. I did not like her at all. I didn't like the portrayal. She wasn't funny. I wish that Jeff would have just joined the chorus of the other nurses and just like having like both poking fun and being a part of the scene. I just don't think that Bella did anything at all worthwhile.
No. Caricature.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to always have diversity. But
no, that's it.
Why?
That was the point. It was just throw in some diversity. That was
diversity for diversity's sake, not because she needed to be there.
Yeah. And also, what was her job? Was she head of security or his personal assistant? Because I was confused on why she's attacking people. Isn't your job to get coffee? Stop hitting people.
Why not both?
Yeah. Maybe the kingdom is on a budget, and so if you can have both in one.
Oh God! And when she kept saying "our prince" in the beginning, I'm like, I'm gonna sock you in the face.
Yeah, I was like, do you have to call? I mean, you guys should, but like, do normal people have to call? Like, if other people besides myself met Prince Harry or William, I would of course address him as Your Majesty or just William. But do normal people have to do that to other people's royalty? I mean, like, would you do that? Would you say Your Highness, Prince Harry? Or would you just say?
I probably would. I'd start there. I'd start with a title and then work down. Just kind of out of like respect. I think it was the hour thing. I was just like, whose? Is it ours?
I know. I'm just like, do you have to respect other people's royalty?
Well, she had an American accent, so she wasn't from the country that he was from. It didn't sound like, anyways, just to presume.
And are we all clear that his nation of origin was Canada? We're all just like on board with that also. He's the Prince of Canada. Just so we're all clear, because that's what I got.
Well,
from
all
this.
I know is that the whatever the dinner was had to be moved because he couldn't possibly travel in a walking cab. He can walk down 6 flights of stairs in it, but he can't sit on a plane in it.
And he could dance at the very end. I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing. So
I love it.
All right. So let's chat SFL criteria. So for SFL, and in order to determine whether there is an SFL in the movies we pick, we have 3 criteria. The character must be top billed, the character must have their own agency, and they must impact the plot. Laura, go. Dr. Tasha.
So Dr. Tasha Miller / Morgan, she is top billed. You know, the story is about her and her pediatric ward and her various subspecialties that she allegedly has. So I'll say yes for that criteria. Does she have agency? She's pretty much forced into accepting him on the ward because she can't get the budget that she wants for, again, unnamed medical equipment of some kind.
Teddy bears.
Teddy bears, of course. I don't, even though she's supposed to be this empowered, head of pediatrics doctor, I don't think she actually has a lot of agency in the movie. Does she move the plot along? Well, no. That would infer that there was a plot to move along.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna go with, not really. And again, maybe another bingo square can be when Tessa refers to a SFL fastener. Instead of a hat.
A teeny hat.
I guess just based on, the story being about her, but, there's never a moment where she's talking with another female. Those two, the nurse Mel and, I don't know, Santa's greeter, whoever those 2 women are that are in the elevator seemingly all day going up and down. Like, all she talks about with them is the prince. All she talks about with her friend is the prince. So
this fails Bechtel. I highly doubt.
When she's talking to the prince, she's mostly talking about him as well, or she's talking about the kids with their undiagnosed alleged cancer with no IV poles or medication infusions. So, and then she's like crying to him about them, but that's just an excuse to get closer to him. And so really a big fat no from me. How about you?
Oh, I like that. And I like all the explanation. Wonderful. I love, Laura, you come prepared. You come prepared and you come well researched. So Tessa, okay, so no SFL in Christmas with a Prince. Tessa, you?
I have to agree with Dr. Laura Bretson in her professional opinion and diagnosis of this SFL. She is top billed. So, I mean, she's got the brim of a hat or a fascinator. Does she display agency? She did. No, I was going to say she chose that scone, but she didn't. It just arrived. Much like her in this film. Like, I think it would be hard for anyone to argue that this movie is about her. It's about a prince healing from an injury. The prince is the star. The title is very well suited. It's Christmas with a prince and this girl. She shows up for some reason. This could, I'm trying to think of one choice she made.
Right.
No. I was gonna say, oh well, she goes home.
He even buys her the gown. So
yeah. Yeah. The king convinces her to stay after she wants to leave. So then, like, that was an opportunity for you to make a choice about your life and how you're living it. And she's, I mean, that's not really her fault because, the king, she met a king and she had to become better. But, yeah. And I would say the plot of this movie, although it is made for women, is not about the woman in the story. It's about a prince and how a prince is being humbled by his experience with children and an interaction with a love, and it makes him a better person. She was always a good person. She is never not a good person. Even though her emotions are erratic, she's always correct in them. So because she doesn't grow, change, or make a decision, I'm sorry, she can't be an SFL for me. Though I love the movie, and I highly recommend people watch it.
You have to after all this. You have to see it for yourself. You have to see the way the hospital bedding is one of the more ridiculous things about this movie. The just the randomness of the rooms in which the children are in, which sometimes they're in a giant infusion center with no separation. Sometimes they're in an insanely gorgeous private room with, again, no IV poles or monitors or anything. It's like a CV2 catalog version of a hospital.
Yeah, but it's a hospital without all the sick stuff. So
yeah,
and isn't that better? Isn't that what we all want? It's just to get rid of all those like beeping things and like sick things and sad faces. Want to get rid of those sad faces. And just have like happy, bright, smiling kids. Because I think that's what we all go to a hospital for. That's what I go for.
It's why I go to work every day.
We don't want sick. We wanted it to take place at a hospital, but we don't actually want sick kids. Too difficult. So I agree with you guys. I mean, there is no SFL in sight in this. And the story is entirely about him and his growth, which I'm not really sure that it is growth, but it is the only growth that we speak of, is him becoming like a man rather than a man-child. I don't think that she has a lot of agency. I think all of this happens to her, and I think that she is truly just playing doctor. Like, I'd like to be a doctor. If this is what being a doctor is, wearing a coat, looking important, and then just walking from room to room, talking with healthy kids.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me the fuck up.
If all doctoring is just walking and talking, I'm on board as well. I've mastered those things. Mostly.
I can do them both.
Laura, is that accurate? Is that all we would need to do is walking and talk?
And talking.
That's most of my job. It's really there's very little, physical examination, reviewing of labs, ordering medications, writing chemo. None of that really. Having
it doesn't look stressful.
The good thing about this place is that there are no families to speak of that you need to talk to every day or answer questions from.
No,
so
it's great. She has the best part of it. She talks to these kids. They're all super cute. None of them are annoying. They're not sick. And she doesn't have to talk with the families. And then she uses a stethoscope in the way that I used a stethoscope as a child. Just put it there and be like, all right, cool. Sounds good.
It's like, you could have at least put it on his skin. You could have at least put it on his skin.
Well, she also was not listening in the right heart borders, and she was telling him to take a deep breath, which you don't do when you're listening to the heart. It's just, she didn't look at his leg once except the very top of it when he faked an injury. So, just in terms of the chief complaint and the reason he's there, really, did not hit those 12 points of review of systems that you need for billing. Like, there was just
nothing. She fully
wonder why she
played
doesn't have
doctor.
the budget for the teddy bears. She's not billing correctly because she's not doing anything.
I think she's not a doctor at the end of the day with this. I think that is what's happening. So I agree. No SFL. And that's a shame because they seemed to be attempting, but in all the wrong ways. You can't just say that someone's a doctor and then all of a sudden they're an SFL.
I don't know. I heard a podcast about a guy who just went around and said he was a doctor in Texas. Did you guys hear that? What was that podcast?
He was an OBGYN? Or he wasn't?
Yeah.
But he said he was?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can do it is what I would like to put out there. It's not recommended. It's highly
But are you an SFL?
But, like, people do it.
Is he an SFL? Might be.
No, he's not a lady.
That's true. That's true. So what do we think that Christmas with a Prince, I'm just looking at the picture for the movie. It's hilarious. She's just standing there out in the snow, looking into the distance with her.
As one does.
What do we think that this is telling us about femininity and masculinity? Because there's no real intersectionality, I don't think, going on here. There's really not a lot going on at all, actually.
No, I think it tells you don't give up on your teenage crushes, you know?
Always choose a prince. Seriously, because there is nothing that, like, she falls into all of the stereotypical aspects of femininity anyways, and they're not even really seen as strengths in this. Whenever she speaks up, nothing actually happens, and then she gets mad, and then she emotes, and then she lets it go. Like, so there's nothing happens on that front. And
she pretty much got fired until the king had to step in and save her job. So
yeah.
And she thought it was the prince that did it at first, even though the child said it was the king. But that's fine. She seemed very surprised. So basically, the prince did nothing after that happened, and it seems like she fell in love with him partially because he did do something. So
turns out she actually fell in love with the king and she didn't realize
it. Yes. And frankly, that's what she should go for.
Frankly, he was way more of a catch.
Yeah, the man had a nice sweater.
Very well. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's been aging very well. That guy from The Nanny, like, oh, man.
Oh my God, The Nanny.
I loved that show as a kid. Loved it. SFL 100%. Fran Drescher, get it. Like,
so do you think that this SFL empowers or minimizes women or reinforces stereotypes? I think it minimizes, and I think it reinforces all of the stereotypes in a sad attempt to show female power.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. I think this is another case of, like, men. I'm going to assume that this is a male screenwriter, even though the original work is by a woman. Let me double check. But this seems like a man writing a movie for a woman or for a female audience.
Turned on the movie by accident.
Don't do that again.
Yeah. Some guy named Keith. We're just going to call him some guy named Keith wrote this movie about women, or technically for women, but didn't really examine any of the stereotypes he's using to describe women and the experience of people in relationship with each other, because she didn't change from having met this prince. He changed from having met her. And so to say the story is about her is a stretch.
The movies like this, and we did Love Actually, which was terrifying to watch. Again, the movies made by men about women for women just show how little these men know about women, and also just show it is terrifying how simplified everything is, and just on so many different levels, you know, like writing the character of a woman, but then thinking that this is for women. It's just like, stop doing it. We need more men, we need more women writing movies about men for men. And let's see what that actually looks like, because we should do it as a joke, first of all, and show them what this feels like.
Oof.
And then they can feel simplified and silly, because that's all this does.
Well, Trisha, I don't want to give too much away about our next movie in this Christmas series, but I think we've got exactly that coming to the listener's way, is a movie written by women that is supposed to be question mark for men.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know that. So good. That and maybe, I mean, I think they need to feel it. I need to think they need to feel it. And then maybe we'll get I didn't think it was for men. I thought it was for women, but that's a good point.
Save it for the pod.
Save it for the pod. Ratings.
Ooh,
I love Laura getting all comfy. Love it.
I'm gonna give this 1 out of 5 non-existent IV poles.
Perfect.
And that's because I don't believe in zeros. Okay, go ahead.
Have we given a 0? I feel like we did give a 0.
We have given a 0 out before.
I'm gonna give this a 2. I think this is the type of movie that I would have on while I'm like cleaning my apartment and just being like, oh, movies be movies. In terms of like, are you going to learn? Is this ever going to become your favorite movie? I would hope not. But it's on Netflix. It's 90 minutes. You know, watch it. Just watch it. If nothing else, you can comment on our posts on social media and just let us know how much you also didn't understand.
Yeah, and if you have any medical questions, I'm happy to answer those on the social medias as well. So go for it.
I hope you get real questions with pictures.
Ooh, I hope someone asks you to diagnose them. Perfect. I would give this a 0.5.
Wow.
I would give this a 0.5 teddy bear budgets. That's what I would give this. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was just terrible. Although the hour 24 minute like length, I'm like, well, that's like an episode of a TV show.
Yeah. It didn't offend me because it was so short. Like, yeah, if this was drawn out to 2.5 or 3 hours, I would have been like, I need to speak to someone immediately.
Something about it being, something about it being even less than an hour 30 made it palatable, where I was like, yeah, I've done way worse things for that period of time.
Oh yeah.
So I would give that a 0.5. Yeah, this was yep. I don't have anything else. It was just terrible. But it's so fun to make fun of.
Sorry, I couldn't help it when I read the description about a pediatrician. I had to see what this movie had in store for us, and I don't regret my decision. You know, I think it brought up some good points and some good discussions. So, sorry, not sorry. I'll continue to come on each Christmas and pick a bad movie for us to talk about, and you know, that's going to be my role, and that's fine.
I love it. We do like bad movies on this though. So even if I like question my life, you know, and the time and what I'm doing with my life during those 100, that hour 24, we welcome bad movies. They're sometimes our best, and they bring up the best questions and the best topics for sure.
I agree. And for what this was, I mean, of a Netflix, Hallmark, Lifetime quality of film, it was not as bad as it could have been. It's what I'm gonna is my last word. This could have been so much worse, guys. It could have been.
Definitely.
All right. Well, you can find us on Instagram at Strong Female Pod, and please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or whatever. And where else can they find us? We have another account out there, right?
Yeah, we're on Twitter.
Yeah.
We're on Twitter. We're at SFL_Chicago on Twitter. And tweet at us your other holiday classics, things that we should be watching. This holiday break will be long, and I have nothing better to do than to watch this type and caliber of movies. So make it bad and recommend it on Twitter.
Make it bad, make it often.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. And Dr. Laura, where can they find you? I know you have quite a following. You've gone viral before, lady.
Just a little bit on Med Twitter. I am so it's an annoying handle to say on air, but it is LLR, which are my initials, but it's spelled out like Elle Woods, ELLEARE, and that's me on Twitter, and all the things. But that's fine. You don't have to follow me. You can just follow them. And
are you kidding? Of course they're gonna follow you. Of course they.
We want you to get influencer status from this.
Oh yeah. Do you have a blue check yet?
I don't. No, I don't have a blue check.
Get it.
I don't even have 1,000 followers. So
1,000.
Right?
Anywho. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Laura, as always, Doctor of the Pod. We love having you. And you've been our first COVID guest.
All right.
Happy to be here during COVID.
Happy to be here very remotely. And thanks for having me. As always, this could be a Christmas tradition, but hopefully a little bit before that too.
Yes. Yay.
Okay. Well,
thanks everyone.
Next time. Bye.
Bye.